Welcome to the Great Awakening Show. I am Joanne-Divine Life Yogini, and on this week's show, we have Dr. Janelle Kim. Dr. Kim is the founder of JBK Wellness Labs. She is a doctor of acupuncture and Chinese medicine and is nationally board certified in herbology and oriental medicine. Dr. Kim is devoted to integrating the philosophy, medical wisdom, and expertise of East Asia with the advancements of modern life and modern medicine in the West in order to touch and positively affect the lives of others. Her book, Myung Sung, The Korean Art to Living Meditation, offers a way to achieve a life of balance and happiness by enjoying the benefits of meditation in every minute of every day. Dr. Kim's unique approach to meditation combines lessons on movement and natural medicine learned from a lifetime of experience studying Eastern philosophy, Eastern medicine, and martial arts.
UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good. UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good.
Dr. Janelle Kim, welcome to the Great Awakening Show.
Hello, Joanne. It's so wonderful to be here. It is an honor. So thank you so much for having me.
It's lovely. Fantastic. So, Dr. Kim, at this time, there is a great awakening happening in wellness of mind, body, and soul. What does that mean for us? Describe it.
Yes, no, and I love that everything that you do. I love even the name of it because that resonates so much with me. It has been a wish and a mission of mine for as long as I can possibly imagine. What that means to me is that as human beings, no matter who we are, no matter what our race, our gender, our ethnicity, where we are from around the world, we are all human. And to me, to really break it down in this moment, what comes to mind first is that we must be awakened to the fact and remember that it's just that we're all human. And if we see it from that perspective, and we also open our minds to put ourselves in other people's shoes and gain perspective, how much more purpose we will have in this life, how much more of a clear view we will have in this life. And at the end of the day, of course, it is always our choice of what we do with that, how we treat others, the decisions we make in this life. But ultimately, the great awakening, the shift that we are all going through as the entire world together, whether we want it or not. That's the funny thing. How often does this happen in life? Certainly in my lifetime, I have not seen this happen. So it certainly is a special thing, but it really comes down to what we do with that.
Yes. That is so true. That is so true. Yeah. And everything that we are experiencing is really awakening us. We're awakening to our health, to our life purpose, we're learning to go within more. It really is a holistic awakening on all levels, isn't it? Mm.
Absolutely. And that's something that means so much to me. I come from a long lineage of herbologists, practitioners of the Tao or of life, of movement. And one of the most important things is to be awakened and to see ourselves clearly. That is something that I truly have devoted my life to personally and to hoping to share with the world. And so, yes, it has to include that holistic, as far, in my humble opinion, the mind, body, spirit. That's how everything in this world can be seen. I always say we're a microcosm of the universe. So even when we look at the universe, there is heaven, earth, and human, or sky, ground, and human being. It's mind, body, spirit. It's even the way that we look at our bodies in Eastern medicine. It's actually broken up into the upper, middle, and lower jiao, and that's how we treat the human body. And so when you start to see all of the kind of parallels, it's all rooted from that same source. And so it's a beautiful thing. And certainly I agree. It is mind, body, spirit, awakening of all. Yes.
It's a very challenging yet very enlightening time to be here at this time. Is it not?
100%. I think that any time even through the last couple of years that have been quite challenging for everybody on some level, it has to be, I keep reflecting upon and sharing with those who ask. To me, the universe comes from the Tao. It's no matter who you are, it can resonate. I really believe that the Tao is the universe. And in that way of thought, our universe is made up of yin and yang. It's that dichotomy. It's the positive and negative. It's day and night. It's female and masculine energies. It's always the yin and yang, just like that symbol that we see. And one thing for certain, a principle of life is that they always are transforming. And no matter what, they always exist. And when one reaches an extreme, that's when it starts to balance. So I certainly do not necessarily have the answer of when this moment in time is going to balance, but yes. I think that we're starting to see that a bit more, right? So
yes, definitely. Definitely.
But I think, seeing it that way has certainly helped me, that this is a principle of the universe. This is the first time that I can recall I have walked through such a moment in time, this awakening, but I trust in and I have faith in the fact that the principles of the universe are that no matter how extreme, it will reach a certain point that it will start to rebalance. And that is my wish as well, Joanne, that during this time, as a holistic self, individually, as a holistic self now, extending outwards with each other to nature and our surroundings, that balance comes. And that word awakening can mean so much too, because words, such a funny thing, right, Joanne? Yeah. Even writing my first book, my biggest challenge was, how do I put these profound principles that have been handed down in my lineage for centuries, for thousands of years. I don't even know how long it goes back, to be honest. How do you put that into words? Because as soon as we put it into words, it's so easy to change that or start to find too much differentiation amongst each other, right? And so when it comes down to the understanding of awakening, what does that actually mean to us, So to me, it's a reflection, it's an awareness, because it always has to start with you. You have to see it's a constant journey as far as I'm concerned to find ourselves, to be awakened to who we are, because from there we are able to understand others, communicate properly, and go about our daily life. Challenges are always going to be there, as are beautiful times. We can't avoid it no matter what we do. But when we walk across certain obstacles, that is what Myung-Sung Living Meditation is. If I had to break it down and think about it. How do we handle those obstacles and challenges that come our way? How do we balance with it or not? So that to me is an awakening, and certainly my greatest mission and purpose in this life, having that greater awakening, just as you say.
That's so beautiful. It's all about the balance. That's what we're here to learn, isn't it? The balance between our masculine and our feminine, our light and our dark within, and then that mirrors without into our outside life. That's just so fascinating. And please tell us about this fascinating book. Am I saying it right? My Own Son.
Yes.
Korean. Yeah, that's amazing. I said that right. Korean art of living meditation. And, how these ancient principles, can help us in our modern lives. Please tell us what this incredible book, is all about. Living meditation. So
yes,
beautiful.
Living meditation. Well, first I have to acknowledge, because here I am in the UK right now, and it means so much to me. I live in California, and part of the reason why it means so much is because one of the reasons I have this opportunity to share this book is because of my incredible publisher, Watkins. And of course it's distributed in the US through Penguin Random House, but it has so much to do with them, that they saw this vision, this mission, this purpose that I wish to share. And living meditation, those are words that I came up with to describe, as I said, the finding the correct words, to encompass all that I wish to share in the correct manner, is not the easiest task. But to me, living meditation kind of broke it down into 2 words. And it's just that, when we think of meditation, I think most of us go to thinking or visualizing sitting down, quiet spot, possibly using other moving kind of techniques, which is not actually out there as much, something I hope to share as well. But we usually think of it as a seated position for a number of minutes, hours, even days. And while I'm a huge proponent of those techniques, and I certainly practice that myself, and like I said, I'm starting to share those techniques, living meditation kind of takes it one step deeper, for lack of a better word, right? So why do we have to stop? Or I know our mission, or our goal rather, is to continue what we're feeling when we're seated. For example, doing our meditation, calming our mind, focusing our mind, purifying ourselves, seeing more clearly. That is how I would describe meditation in some ways. But sometimes it's hard to sit down. What I saw as I looked around, and we have so many amazing teachers, thought leaders, meditation teachers, so many different people who are sharing such amazing skills to help us exactly, like what you said, balance with life. But I started to notice also, even as a mom myself, I'm a working mother of 2 young boys. I'm very close to my family. I run several businesses. And so even coming from my perspective, having time to meditate, to find that calm moment, to set aside that time is not so easy.
Yes.
And I see that with a lot of people. A lot of people, most people, if I may say at this point, they have a respect. They're starting to truly understand meditation. 40 years ago, meditation, definitely in the US, I hope it's not exactly that way here. But, it was like a foreign concept, meditation, like that's odd. What are you even talking about? So how far we come. But now what I'm seeing is it's truly shedding its light, which is amazing, these century-old practices, but it stresses people out. Meditation should not be stressing people out. Yeah. But the simple thought, and let's be honest with ourselves, oh gosh, I don't have time, or I sit down and I can't calm my mind, all these things. And so that is part of the practice and part of training our minds, that discipline. But at the same point, why can't we think of that every moment of our day? The way I learned from my mentor and the teachers that came into my lineage, it doesn't ever stop. Every single moment we come across is a moment to meditate. Every single moment we come across is a moment to discipline our minds, to create good habits, to respond or react, reacting being based on emotion, responding based on principle and proper perspective. And it's down to our choice. And so that is what living meditation means. Just as we wish to sit down and achieve certain goals, have certain results with our mind, body, spirit, and meditation, every moment we come across as a parent, as a business owner, or in business, communicating with those around us, taking care of ourselves is a moment that we can do meditation in a very active, that's the living part, a very active manner, where we are constantly creating habits. And like any habit, it can take a bit of time, but why don't we take the time to focus on those aspects to create good habits? So that's living meditation, one way of describing it.
That's beautiful. To me, that's like being in this divine moment, isn't it?
Yes.
We're not doing. You can make the action, but you're not thinking of other things. You are immersed in this moment, in what you are doing. You're mindful of what you are doing in everything. And that's the key, because otherwise you're in past and future. You're not here now.
Yes, absolutely, Joanne. I really appreciate you say it beautifully and perfectly as far as I'm concerned. That's exactly embodies a lot of, these thoughts, these concepts that we have, these goals that we have, these words that we use. I think sometimes it's mere, as we're saying, just sitting down, and when we even say these words, meditation, mindfulness, awakening, having a moment to really think about what is it that I mean? Because we can get, as a human being, it's just nature. We can get caught up in those things. And I love that you said doing. When I was young, my mentor, my father, who's in the book, Myung-Sung, Korean Art of Living to Meditation, I share a lot of his stories because he grew up as a monk for several years of his younger life from the age of 7 to 14 in the mountains of East Asia, and carried that down. Right. So just threw that in there.
Yeah, lovely.
Necessary. But one of the things he always taught me, he used to say, even when I was little, he'd say, Janelle, stop trying, stop doing, just be. And, when you're 7 years old, 8 years old, 9 years old, in the world, I would never talk back to my father, but I used to think, what in the world? I don't know how to do that. What do you mean stop trying, stop doing? And I'm just going to lay here. Again, I would never say that to him, but it was confusing to me. But now with time, not necessarily age, but with time, experience, opening our mind, it's becoming that much more clear to me. And I love that, even when it comes to meditation, living meditation or seated, techniques, for example, we should not do meditation. We should become meditation. And that is what living meditation is, exactly as you're saying.
Yeah.
I love the word natural, Joanne. I think a lot of it comes down to being natural. We can live our lives and do different things, but never get caught in them. Always be rooted, right? And that's actually one of the principles of Myung-Sung. Key number 8, what closes the whole book, is be like bamboo. Be flexible, go with the Tao, go with the universe, but always have your root. Because if we always consistently remind ourselves and remember where we come from, what the purpose behind our wishes are, to be awakened, to find purpose, to live a happy life, to find peace and calm, to avoid not avoid, but to work with suffering, in our life.
Yes.
To some way of putting it, right? Or obstacles. Suffering sounds intense, but that oftentimes is what it is.
Yes.
That is the way we can find that. So
yes. To be calm in the midst of chaos, and to surrender. It's all about, I believe, surrendering and letting go. Not trying, as you said, just surrender into being, surrendering into your true self. That true self is that place of total peace and total bliss, and that's when, because we get caught up in that 3D world with the stress and the fastness and everything. Right. So we can be present in what we do. That really, that brings us, that gives us peace in every thought, feeling, and action that we actually make in the 3D world. I call it like here in my little world, but then we project that out into that world. So that is absolutely beautiful. And tell us about the 8 keys, that are inside your book. You told us about the 8th one being like bamboo. That's beautiful.
Thank you. I'm glad you see that, Joanne. I do as well. Like I said, I had to come up with these ways of expressing and communicating these principles, which are in the book. And so a lot of it is visual for me. So just kind of talking about the bamboo key, but going back, the 8 keys, ultimately the chapters are even broken up. They're called keys. So that is how the entire book is broken up into the 8 chapters of the 8 keys of Myung Sung Living Meditation. And ultimately this concept, this principle of living meditation is what has been passed down for so long, and here I am, the first woman in my lineage, the first to be sharing it in such a huge way with the world, all over the world. And I take that very seriously. Joanne, I'm so grateful every single moment of my life, but it also is a huge responsibility. I say my number one role is making sure that I communicate it properly. My words can sound beautiful. Maybe people enjoy hearing me speak or teaching or writing books, but at the end of the day, my wish is that it just makes sense, that you can do something with it, And so that is what I would say living meditation is in my experience, even my experience living with it. The reason why I chose to write this book when I wrote this book is because, I have felt for a long time compelled. I kind of break it up into 3 pillars, if I may, and Myung Sung Living Meditation, right? Just like we were saying, mind, body, spirit, the 3, and it's movement, meditation, and medicine. And for the first 20 years of my life, I would say that I really committed myself to the medicine aspect. So I have in the US and actually here in the UK, or I'm not in the UK, I'm sorry, in the EU, I have a manufacturing lab. And so that's a whole other kind of
We're going to get onto that. Yeah, we're going to get onto that. Yeah.
Yes. So ultimately, the medicine aspect breaks it down to the different herbal formulas that are passed on in my lineage. And the way that I'm able to share that with the world is through manufacturing of different formulas that go out. So I won't go too into detail. Movement is another huge part. It's very important. I'm a huge proponent of the ancient practices that have been passed down, traditional martial arts, yoga, because they really help us to build internal and external strength, connecting mind, body, and spirit, right?
Moving the energy.
Yes, exactly. And going down to the meditation aspect, I didn't necessarily expect to write this book exactly now. It's been on my mind for so long, 10 years. Wow. I've been working on it. But truly, I say for 40, I'm almost 40. From the moment I entered this world, it was part of my destiny. Yeah. My father passed away 6 years ago, and he was my greatest mentor, my teacher. And that was a huge catalyst to writing the book. And so that is how kind of Myung Sung came about, is because I thought now is the time. So kind of wanting to hone it back in here. That is Myung Sung, the Korean art of living meditation. I find that there are practical tools, and the way I broke down those tools are in 8 keys. And so while you can read this book from front to back, certainly people enjoy doing so, but really my purpose was that this book is like a tool, that we can open it up, point to a page in the morning, read that page and reflect upon that all day, or have one key. Actually, right now on social media, which I am learning to balance with myself, but grateful that I can speak to so many people. But on social media, I am actually in the midst of doing an 8-week Myung Sung challenge, where every week we focus on one of the keys. So I hope this is, making sense, that the keys are truly tools that help us in our everyday life, practical tools,
Beautiful.
And hopefully in the book I share that. Yes, from what my father experienced with his master, his teacher in the mountains of East Asia. They had different challenges than we have here living in, modern day life, right? And so how each one of those tools, I won't go through all of them right now unless you like me too. But number one, for example, is knowing your true self. Everything we just spoke of, everything has to come from within. And that's not one that I'm ever going to call you, Joanne, and say, Joanne, I've done it. I found myself.
No, I think that's an ongoing evolution that we always keep learning more and more and more as we go through life.
Yes, absolutely, Joanne. And I love that you see that with me. And that's why I feel compelled to communicate that to people. You know, these keys are not something that I expect anyone to say, okay, I read the book in an argument with a family, right? What do we do? There's some visualization, some things that we can think of to help us discipline our mind, create good habits in the moment, gain perspective. You know, we're in this moment, there's some tension, we're having miscommunication, even to have a moment to stop and think, where are they coming from? What is my ultimate goal? Am I here? Am I just arguing to argue? Is that worth it to me? Right? And these are the kind of processes that these keys help us. Or when parenting, here's my child, they did something incorrect. How am I going to go about this? And it doesn't always have to be that extreme. My child doing homework, you know, myself waking up every morning to go to work. And that is what the 8 keys are all about. So,
beautiful. Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait to go through the whole book and look at that. And I love it that you can just pick it up and, you know, concentrate on one of the keys for the day. You know, it's just, and it's so important because people are so scared of meditation. I've been meditating for many, many years as a yogini, and I go in and I feel that beautiful divine love light energy that gives me that bliss and fills up my vessel. Basically, it really does. But people are so scared of the going within to that place, you know, to the darkness, to the silence, you know, but it's in that silence that is the light, that is the key. The keys are there, you know, but as you say, we can utilize that into everything and bringing that peacefulness and that mindfulness into everything we do, which is beautiful.
Yes, and necessary. That's the truth. You know, I go so far as to say it's actually necessary as human beings if we wish to continue to actually live in this life. You know, something I was thinking of, I reflect on this all of the time. You know, I do practice what I preach in this. I don't know another way. I'm so used to it, right? And it's become a habit. And I was thinking that, you know, the other day, and it's a little bit of an interesting conversation, but, you know, we all are alive on this earth. Right? We're here talking and we see each other walking around or whatever that looks like. But what does it actually mean to be alive? You know, can we be living on this earth, but not actually be alive? You know, and it can be a pretty intense conversation and an intense moment to think about. But sometimes it's important to go there, to really check in. What am I doing? Is this life for me? What does life mean to me? You know, and so that is pretty important.
Beautiful. To slow everything down, to be present, to experience the beauty in every moment, you know, to live it to its fullest, to be at peace in every moment. That's just so simple. But them ancient, you know, what they've given us, our ancient ancestors, is so relevant today. And you're bringing that back. And that's just fantastic.
I get goosebumps actually, Joanne, because, you know, that's the thing about it. You know, principle, when I say the word principle, even that word I reflect on all the time. What is that exactly? And the best way I can describe it is like, it's a universal principle. It's something that doesn't change. You know, it should not be. I'm sure there's people who will try to argue about it. That's the way of life. But deep down, it's difficult to argue with, you know, night and day exists. Even if a day, you know, means it's light out, the energies of night and day exist. The energies of feminine and masculine exist. These are all principles of life. You know, one day we come into this life and one day we're going to leave this world. No matter what our beliefs, no matter what we feel, think, that's a principle. And so it's a really interesting thing to be able to put yourself in that and really, it puts perspective on things, as you said. And then going through, you know, in my life, I have experienced grief, you know, losing my father, my greatest mentor. But I must say, one of the beautiful things that can come from that is, if I choose to let it, you know, be a reminder and a reflection, is really understanding that life is short, you know, and it doesn't have to be a daunting. I don't mean that like, oh, we don't have much time. But when you look at it that way, it certainly in my life helps me to pause in moments, particularly with my young kids, you know, and realize, okay, what is the most important thing here right now? And that is part of living meditation.
Oh, absolutely lovely. And please tell us, Dr. Kim, about JBK Wellness Labs that you've set up, and, cultivating your Chinese medicine and using cannabis, CBD oil. I know that this is so important for well-being at this time. And, it's had, over the years, we have always used it. Cannabis, haven't we? Right. In the ancients, they really have for healing and health.
8,000 BC, over 10,000 years we've used this. That's my favorite thing to remind people. This isn't new.
No,
but sure, we go with the flow. Yes, but no, I appreciate this moment to communicate what it is that this very important part of my life. So JBK Wellness Labs is ultimately a contract manufacturing lab, where we really are rooted in the herbal formulations, East Asian herbs. So my lineage is Korean, but of course I study Chinese medicine. I have really devoted my life to the herbology aspect of our beautiful medicine. And, I didn't always think that I would, and how can I say this? Way back when I was studying, I did not envision having a lab or labs where I would be, sharing formulas in this manner. I really believed I would be in clinic. I love being in clinic with patients. That meant so much to me. It's where I found so much happiness and purpose, right? But long story short, life kept pushing me to do exactly what it is I'm doing. And there was a set moment in my life at about 20 when I was studying where I realized, you know what? This is where life wants me to go. And so why don't I change my perspective, living meditation? And instead of fighting it a little bit, because I didn't even know I was, but I kept thinking, no, I need to be in clinic. So why am I creating formulas? Why am I helping with marketing and branding of companies? And then it hit me, maybe this is my destiny. Here I am, the first female in my lineage. Here I am wishing to share it with as many people at a time where I could see, even though at that time, 20 years ago, we were not where we are right now. Not at all, as far as the understanding and the integration of Eastern and Western holistic medicine, And so I decided to trust that faith, trust that kind of push that I was receiving, and I decided to start. And so I started by building brands based on, again, herbal formulation. At that time, I can't tell you the number of people who would come and say, it sounds beautiful, Janelle, but, Asian, I don't think people are going to get it. So you should probably just take down those photos and, maybe not talk about it so much. And I would smile and nod. But deep down, Joanne, again, also practicing what I preach, living meditation, it's helped me so much in life. I knew that what I wished to share truly will help human beings. Yes. And so I had to keep going on this path, no matter what anyone said. Maybe I had to communicate it better, make sure that it made sense, but I kept moving. And before you know it, a couple years passed where I was very involved in the marketing, packaging, distribution, of course, the formulation using herbal formulas. I was at the forefront of natural products. To think there was a time where natural was not even really a thing. I was certainly at the forefront of herbal, and I think I still am, to be honest. Yeah. My incredible peers, right?
Yeah.
Right. And so we moved forward a bit. And then it was right before I had my first son, about 10 years ago with my husband. We worked together that so many people had come to us asking us to formulate their products. And it was a moment that I had to make a shift because no matter how much I love to work, I had a little baby coming and I had to change some things, to balance with reality. And so we decided to open our contract manufacturing lab, which means we make products for other brands that are out there.
Yes.
And we have the luxury of choosing beautiful people to work with, from all walks of life. Our products are basically carried through them in your high-end, hotels, retail stores, resorts around the world. Beautiful. Here at Bergdorf Goodman, here, for example, Holland & Barrett, in the U.S., Neiman Marcus, all of the Whole Foods. And so that's where a lot of our clients, our products, our formulas, that's where they're distributed. So I'm so grateful to have this opportunity to be able to share with so many herbal medicine.
Yes.
And especially you mentioned also CBD,
cannabis.
So so my husband and I have been involved in that we basically helped to start the entire industry in the United States, which is where it began.
Yes.
And again, that's a longer story, but to keep it short, initially I did not want to jump in because I didn't know what the intention behind kind of the founders of this industry wanted. I knew the benefits, and when I started seeing that their intention was good, was helping children at the time in particular, I thought, okay, here I've been at the forefront of herbal products, educating to the best of my ability, sharing those formulas. I can tell this is something big is going to happen here. And I chose to jump in at that time and make basically the first CBD products, manufactured in a large way, I think for the world. And one of the most important things was to me was educating properly, like you said.
Yes.
And you already know, Joanne, not a lot of people know that.
No.
Cannabis has been around for 10,000 years.
10,000 years. Our ancestors have been using it for healing and clothes and everything. Yeah. And, you know, the only reason why I believe that it's not, it's had a bad knock, it's because, you know, they can't, the governments and the people, you know, they can't make money out of it, but, you know, so it's not taxed. You know, that's why they've made it illegal, which is, it's a plant grown on Mother Earth.
It's a plant grown on Mother Earth. And it is one of the 50 fundamental herbs of Chinese medicine. I mean, that's pretty huge. You think of all the herbs, okay? And this is what I love when it comes to the kind of cannabis industry, cannabinoids. Now, in my lab, we don't work with THC or anything psychoactive. We really focus on the cannabinoids, CBD. You know, there's so many more now, but we'll stick to that. So I don't
the healing benefits, Yes,
exactly. But that's what I love to educate on. It's one of the 50 fundamental herbs of Chinese medicine. And it works to balance our entire body through the endocannabinoid system. I mean, that's a huge thing. In our lifetime, they are now speaking of this entire system of our bodies, which means that our children will learn, the next generations will learn about this. And it happened in our lifetime. Wow. And you're right, this is not news, but, you know, the Yellow Emperor in 8000 BCE, you know, he spoke of this, and he didn't talk about it in terms of cannabinoids. He talked about it as the whole plant. But isn't it interesting that many thousands of years ago, what he spoke of was for inflammation, for digestive issues, for discomfort,
pain,
you know, for pain, for sleeping, you know, all of the things that we are discovering today. He spoke about the father of herbal medicine, basically our divine farmer, is the Yellow Emperor, what he's called, you know. And way back then, and it wasn't until so many years after he even passed that, you know, they started writing his notes and his understanding down. And of course it grew from there in Eastern medicine, but there are other ancient medicines as well, you know, in Egypt, in India. You're right. This herb, as well as many others, have been, you know, part of our lives for so long. And so part of the Great Awakening, kind of going back to how we began, that's so what true. I see. That's I really what I appreciate see. Yes. Even that you said to me, Janelle, I'm happy that you're kind of bringing back, well, not kind of, I hope I am, bringing back that. And it means so much to me. In fact, I don't even know how to move forward without connecting to everything that came before me.
Yes.
You know?
And I believe this Great Awakening is going back to Mother Earth, going back to nature. We've come so far away with, you know, big pharma and pharmaceuticals and, you know, and they are needed to some point, but not to the point where people are taking 8 pills a day and, you know, and their immune system cannot, it's not enhancing their immune system. It's actually depleting it, you know, because we heal ourselves. And with herbs and Mother Earth's natural medicines, we are making that condition within our body that enhances our immune system and enables us to use our own unique, incredible self-healing. Yes. It's incredible what Goddess has given us.
Unbelievable. It is miraculous. And that word enabling, I use all of the time, Joanne. Not a lot of people say that. So I'm so grateful to connect in that manner too, because that's the goal. You know, when I speak about beauty as a beauty expert, as a wellness expert, you know, when people ask, you know, Dr. Kim, what is the secret to, you know, to youth? What is the secret to health and longevity? And the number one thing is it's so important to enable our body to do what it's supposed to do, to make it function. And there is a lot of medicine or things out there that are needed at certain times. But remember, they can sometimes put your body to sleep, make it not function. And so in the moment, it can feel good, it can look good. But over time, if you start to not make yourselves function, make your organs function, your muscles and joints, everything function properly, then you lose life. It's that simple. You know, so formulations that you put on your body in skincare, topical formulations, they have to enliven, they have to awaken everything and make it function properly. Balance out the negative and the positive, right? The toxins, increase circulation and energy, for example. And the same thing goes with internal formulas. It all works this way with movement, going back to the 3 pillars. You know, I didn't think I would be sharing the movement aspect so quickly, to be honest with you, Joanne, but all of a sudden that's kind of coming again. It's happening in my life. So I'm thinking, okay, great. But movement is one of, as far as I am concerned, and in my experience and what I have seen with so many others, movement can be one of the most effective and quickest ways to reharmonize our bodies in any given moment. That's something I've started to even share on social media because so many people are asking. Simple traditional martial arts techniques. I'm showing you one, although everyone's like, what is she doing? That you can do little movements, even standing, sitting at your desk, that kind of awakens your meridian systems, balances your chi, your vital energy, your circulation, however you want to view your body. It really doesn't matter when it comes down to semantics, words. It does to fully understand. But at the end of the day, utilize these practices and tools that have been handed down to us and see how it makes you feel. I always say at the end of the day, try it for yourself.
Yes.
See the difference for yourself, because I'm not here to convince anybody. I'm here to share as much as I can, and you have to do it for yourself. So
that's so true. Yes. That's so true.
UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good. UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good.
And bringing, herbal medicine, all of that. It's, the mind, body, soul. It's bringing that life, the herbs and plants. They have life force energy. They have the prana, the divine love light energy of God, which is chi, which is prana, which is all gone. It's all the same thing. And when will you consume that? That's like consuming, I'm almost a vegan. So, but that's consuming plants and vegetables. They have life force energy. They're alive. Herbs are alive. Yes. They have the energy. And when we consume that, we're taking that life force prana energy inside of our.
Yes, that's exactly right, Joanne. Again, going back to what we've kind of talked about this whole time, to even take a moment to think about that. You don't have to do it all the time, but once in a while, stop while you're eating and think about that, how amazing that is. I'm 100% right there with you, and it's such an important thing to remember why food is the best medicine. Exactly what you just said. Why when we do supplement with the proper, I say that because that's one of the things that I also truly wish to share through JBK and that medicine, pillar of what I wish to share is that, so we have so many products out there. And one of the things that has been passed down in my lineage is proper formulation. It's one thing to know ingredients, or not. That's what happens a lot in this world. That's just the truth. And put them into a skincare product, into an internal supplement. That's not proper formulation. That's not proper herbal medicine. Proper formulation, proper understanding of herbal medicine, or any active for that matter, because everything ultimately will come from a plant in some way, shape, or form, as far as I'm concerned, is how these ingredients synergistically work together. It's like perfect recipes. And that is what we at JBK specialize in. That's why we even started contract manufacturing, because people saw we knew how to formulate not just beautiful products, because it wasn't easy 20 years ago to make beautiful natural products that smelled good and felt good. We didn't have a lot of options to use to make the formulas feel that way. Now we have so many more. But at the end of the day, it's so important. Don't want to go too much on a tangent here, but it's so important to have that proper formulation, because that's the perfect recipe. And when you have a proper formulation versus a product where someone just put a whole bunch of things in and call it a product, that's where your body wants to eat it, like the best food, internally and externally, because that's what it's like, right? Your skin wants to absorb it too. And if it doesn't resonate with our body and it's not formulated correctly, it won't. And furthermore, if you keep doing this and certain ingredients or chemicals are not good for us, we 100% can harm ourselves. So just being aware, the Great Awakening, being awakened to the principal things that we need to be aware of, right? Because we can also get so caught up in detail. And I watch that a lot with people. And that's where you also said that, man, it really can be so simple. It could be so complex, lifetimes. A true herbologist can spend a whole life learning one herb their whole life. So let me not downplay this. But the principles of how our body works and what's good for us can be so simple.
Yes.
And so we have to educate ourselves, be aware, but not get so caught up that it becomes overwhelming. And then it's like people want to check out. I get that. It's too much sometimes. So that's a balance too.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Balance. And I believe as this Great Awakening, comes, we're going to go back to that simple lifestyle, more of our ancestors, being and working with nature, not against nature, finding out. I mean, there are the cures to so many diseases that we haven't even found yet.
Yes, I have seen some of it, when I traveled abroad.
Yes.
That people would be quite shocked. Oh, goodness. But it's hard to, again, I'm not here to convince people, but I'm glad that we are being awakened to what really can be.
And you know what's the most amazing thing?
Yeah.
And the most amazing thing is we've been healing ourselves. You know, man and woman have been healing themselves for 10,000, thousands and more years naturally. And then only for the past 200 years have we not been doing that. We've been doing it scientifically and chemically, you know, and the world has got more toxic, and all of our shampoos and everything we put on us, our food, it's all, you know, so many toxins, so much. So this is the time, and that's what's really making people ill in the world, you know, the poisoning of the earth and the air and the water and everything. So we are going back. This is what it is, going back to our ancient ancestors' ways of living, and when you know, longevity.
That's exactly right. That word is one of my favorites, longevity. And, you know, another principle concept that I wish to share is we can do all of this and be natural, live our life. You know, if you want to go and, you know, have a certain kind of lifestyle, whatever that looks to you, it's not a one way of looking at it. And it's hard to communicate, but I think it's really important. You can incorporate these principles into your life as it is. Be natural about it. You know, just because you do this doesn't mean you give away all, you know, Western or modern medicine as we know it. That's not at all. In fact, sometimes I surprise people. I'm a huge proponent of Western medicine as well, but know when to utilize it. You know, if we need antibiotics, how grateful we are to have them. Use them. You know, there's other ways, but that could be the most effective way in that moment. And then balance with, once we take an antibiotic, what do we do for our bodies using different supplements, herbal, probiotics, the way we eat to rebalance our bodies? That's the proper way. Seeing the East, the West, seeing the old and the new, and bringing it all together and incorporating it naturally into our life. You know, that's the funny thing. It applies to everybody. So. Yes.
And also the Eastern diet, my good, the Eastern lifestyle, you know, China, Korea, Japan, they are so healthy, lower heart disease, lower cancers, everything, you know, because they eat such a beautiful diet, so much, herbal medicine and so many fruits and vegetables as well. The Western diet as you know, is, I believe we overeat so much, you know, it's overconsumption. Overconsumption, you know, and over temptation. It's temptation. You know, you're going to go into supermarkets, and whole aisles of supermarkets are not even food. It's processed food, you know, which is dead food to me. It doesn't have the nutrients of the life force prana. It's not living.
Yes. There we go. Yes, absolutely. Oh, I love this conversation. It's the absolute truth. And in fact, I was just speaking about this with my family last night. You know, one thing in California, we have some good Indian food, but not like here. This is just the truth. So we were so excited. And when we sat down to eat, we all kind of had a conversation as a family, which I love to do. That's one of the ways I practice living meditation with my children, constantly talking about these things, communicating about them, the food we eat, the way we carry ourselves, how we respect others. I mean, it goes so far. And last night it was a conversation about Indian food. And what we had discussed is how certain foods, particularly in the East, right, Southeast, the herbs that they use, the spices they use, how they utilize the different, you know, types of food, categories of food. It's all very balanced. And this comes from centuries of doing just this, cooking in this manner. And it's just a part of their life. You know, a lot of times if you were to go to East Asia and say like, oh gosh, you just eat so healthy, tell me about that. You know, deep down, I feel like they would say, well, we just eat. I don't know. You know, probably things that in our modern world, you'd think, oh gosh, how do you eat so much of that? Or how do you, because the food is balanced and you can digest it properly. Just like I was just saying, you know, if your body can absorb something properly because it's balanced, it's the perfect recipes, it's the perfect combinations, there's balance within what we are putting into or onto our body. Our body likes that. It can be that simple. It can be that simple, you know, and then you don't have to worry about dieting or not eating this much or thinking so much about it. I mean, what a luxury to sit around thinking about how much we want to eat or how much we shouldn't eat. You know, sometimes I like to reflect on that. That's a whole other conversation. You know, what a luxury to even right?
Yeah.
Like, there's people who wish to eat, and here we are. You know, it's trying not to eat.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, it's all about what we put into our bodies, which is so important, isn't it? It really is. And being conscious of that. You know, conscious of our breath, conscious of our thoughts and our feelings, conscious of our consumption. of our mind consumption. Where are we? What are we watching? On social media, it's all mind, body, soul. It's all of the, coming back, as I said, coming back to that natural, beautiful world, which is what you're giving to the world. And it's so great. It really is.
Thank you for that. As are you.
So, and please give our audience some daily well-being guidance. When they wake up in the morning, give them some tips and some guidance on what they can do to, be healthier and live in wellness.
Okay, you got it. So that is ultimately living meditation and the 8 keys. So I immediately go to the keys, just as I speak of. In this moment in time, I think some of the most important things to do the moment we wake up, I definitely think that it's important to have a spark. My spark is gratitude. What I mean by that is what changes you when you're in your darkest moment, when you're in your highest moment, what grounds you and helps you see clearly. To me, that is gratitude. Our life, as we talked about, remembering even the moment we wake up. Thank you. Thank you for letting me be alive. Thank you for these opportunities. Thank you for my children. Even if we're walking through challenging times, it's important to be able to do that for ourselves. Mm-hmm. As we walk through the day, as you said, be aware of the food that you are eating. Be aware of the movement that you are doing. Be aware of the way you are living your life, the habits that you're creating. At the end of the day, we all have a choice. That's the funny thing. It's the most empowering and it is the most daunting at the same time. Yes. It all comes down to our choice. And we have so many choices. And all of the answers can be found within ourselves and in nature around us. So as we go about our days, have that moment, living meditation. No one else has to know. That's the other beautiful thing. You can be in the midst of an argument. You can be walking into a huge business meeting. You can be standing there with your children in an interesting moment in time. And all you have to do is quiet yourself for a second, change your perspective, right? Broaden your perspective, put yourself in other people's shoes. See maybe for a second, a moment in time, where are they standing? Where is this going to lead me? Do I choose to react or respond? Even when it comes to eating, right? React or respond. Know your true self. Be like bamboo. And I suppose I'd love to change, just to end with one of my favorite keys as well, key number 7, which is it only takes one match to light 1,000, right? And that's ultimately what it means. And that's something that I learned from my mentor and means so much to me. And it means that one positive action, one positive word, one positive person can ignite 1,000 more.
Wow.
Simultaneously, just as we spoke about that dichotomy that will never change in this universe, there's also one negative word, one negative action, one negative person can cause 1,000 more. So if we are aware and awakened to what it is that we're looking for, and remember how much even one word can make a difference in our life from the moment we wake up in the morning, that can change a lot of things. So that would be my advice today.
That's beautiful. That really is gorgeous, because the only person we can change is ourselves. So we change, we become a living example, and then we give that out, don't we? That light. Yes. So we're lighting our light within so that we can be a living example for others to see the light. And then it all becomes, that's the awakening I feel that we're going through. We're all becoming little lights. We're all switching on. That divine flame that we all have, which is the divine flame of the creator, of the God flame within. And it's beautiful. That's where we're becoming aware of that. And then this holistic lifestyle that you are talking about, the living meditation, feeds that flame, becoming brighter and brighter. Yes. So beautiful.
Absolutely. Yes. Well, thank you, Joanne. I really have enjoyed our time together.
It's been really wonderful. Yeah. And I just want to say, Dr. Janelle Kim, thank you so much for bringing these ancient, beautiful healing modalities into the modern world. And thank you for writing your wonderful book and, giving us living meditation.
I really appreciate you. And thank you, Joanne, for all that you're doing. It just resonates so much and is so important. So I'm grateful.
Lovely.